Hello, everyone. Welcome to twitch.tv/ the Onyx Path, where today we are once again delving into some Storypath Nexus writing. This is our ninth session working in the Trinity Continuum with our Aeon release Assault on Nemesis Station. Before we dive in too far into this, a couple things I want to make sure that I'm putting out there for you all to be aware of. First of all, the world below is still up on BackerKit. We are currently raising funds. The current amount, we're about 1,500 or so, 1,600 away from unlocking our next stretch goal, looks like, which is super cool. So if you've not yet done so, head over there and check that one out. I think the next stretch goal, if I'm not mistaken, is a digital wallpaper. That is correct, mobile wallpaper, followed by digging deeper into the world below with a adventure supplement at 49,000 in funding. So now is a great time to head over and lend your support. Check out some of the cool add-ons. The campaign has about 12 days left in it, so time is getting short. If you've already backed it, thank you so much for your support. Please consider sharing the link on all your various social medias and helping us get the word out. The other thing I wanted to make sure that I bring it to everyone's attention, since this is a community content focused show, I would like to let you all know that we currently have some limited time community content bundles over at Drive-Thru RPG. These are collections of creations from various community members, be they fans or be they uh, freelancers who've worked on these lines and wanted to do some extra stuff, put in some things that couldn't fit into regular books, so on and so forth. All those things are possible and available through these bundles. Each of the bundles is at least 50% off of the list price, and we have them for our various community content programs, including not only Storypath Nexus, but also Canis Minor and the Slurry Vault. Um, so yeah, that's a good way to get your hands on some uh, extra materials at an affordable price. Those bundles are for a limited time, so please consider heading over there and grabbing those if you get the chance. All right, so diving back into where we were at with our uh, Nexus build. We're working on Assault on Nemesis Station. Assault on Nemesis Station is an adventure set in Trinity Continuum and takes place on an asteroid called Nemesis, hence the name Nemesis Station. And it features a group of characters arriving in the aftermath of an aberrant attack in which most of the station personnel have been either killed or captured. The party must then contend with that aberrant attack while also figuring out a way to get themselves off of the asteroid. There are a couple of different teaser scenarios we put together, or I guess I should say introductory scenarios we put together for this. Different ways to get folks onto Nemesis, and each of those has their own sort of unique challenges for getting back off of Nemesis. We've built kind of a table full of mishaps that might befall the characters before they arrive, which will complicate their issue of trying to leave. And we had broken this down into four scenes, into five scenes effectively. Scene one being our introduction, which covers how they get there, covers those various challenges they might face, and that is all fleshed out with different options. In scene two, we actually delve into the arrival itself, into what the party finds upon arriving, detail all that, detail what happens inside the facility, and eventually point the party toward this aberrant settlement on Nemesis where folks have been taken. The party can investigate, figure out how the aberrant attack took place, and follow the trail that leads them to the aberrant enclave. In scene 3, we cover the characters sort of making their way through the subterranean tunnel network that is controlled by the aberrants, and eventually facing down some of their security, and either being rendered unconscious or fighting their way past and making their way into the actual settlement. So in scene 4, the party winds up in the settlement one way or another, whether it be of their own volition or because they're dragged there. And we go over sort of the interaction between the party and the cultists, the followers of the aberrants, as it were, as well as meeting one of the more powerful aberrants, the nemesis that's present. There are some rules located in this scene that talk about the social interactions, how you adjust attitudes, trying to basically negotiate a peaceful release for everyone. So it is possible in this scene that the characters might talk their way out and talk their captors into not only releasing themselves, but into releasing the hostages, the ICE employees that have been taken hostage. That is one option. Their option, of course, is negotiations break down and they have to fight their way out. So that fight is kind of detailed. The behavior of the antagonists in that fight is detailed. And we have our way to sort of bring that together. I'm going to go back and just reread here because I think we have everything done. I apologize, I've not had a chance to review this before today's stream. It's been a busy week. But I think we've pretty well got a button on this. So, the party can attempt to persuade. They can attempt to fight their way out. It shows the behavior in the fight situation. Then we've also noted in lieu of combat, the party may surrender, permitting themselves to be housed with the other prisoners. They may attempt to break out by stealthy means once everyone is together. I got a couple of notes here to put a reminder sidebar about aspirations. I may have noted that earlier in the early stages. I don't necessarily know that we need to point that out to folks as this chapter is structured. So we should maybe pull that out. The big reveal, we've got it covered. What we do need to cover, however, here is the, I think, is the mechanism by which the hostages are being held. So let's point out characters in the meeting hall. We'll say that the hostages are being held in an adjacent chamber. Within the meeting hall. The triumvirate intends to dispense justice en masse after passing judgment on the party And having the hostages nearby simplifies things. Simplifies that prospect. I think I'm going to put another header here too, just so we catch some people's eyes. So we're going to say, I call this freeing the hostages. And we're going to put that under header. So our scene 4 header is header 2. So let's go header 3 for our freeing the hostages. So with the hostages being freed, I think we want to make this just sort of a real standard, real simple security pass. I don't even think maybe we need to have electronic security. I think it's just going to be like a mundane lock. So I'm going to do a little digging and bring up a couple of reference manuals. And in the meantime, too, while we're working on these things out, I just want to remind the audience that if you're tuning in and checking it out and you want to, just write along, right? You have something you're working on. This is a perfect time. You can sit back and listen to the beautiful tones of my voice while you write your own material and just use it as a time for writing sprints. And in fact, if you are doing so and you want to sound off in the chat and let us know what you're working on, I'm happy to discuss that as well. The more the merrier. Let's spotlight each other's stuff after all. All right, so I've got Core, I've got Anne open, and I'm going to go ahead and just dip over into Assassins as well, because I think there's some cool stuff in Assassins to draw from. And one of the nice things about the Storypath Nexus is that you can draw from these sort of multiple sources. You can look into anything that's within the Trinity Continuum that's been released is pretty much fair game. So I'm just looking through to see if we have any nice easy examples of what just a lock might be. So just trying to make it real straightforward. Forgive me as I scroll. I know that there's some dead air in there, and I'm programmed to despise dead air. But unfortunately, it's research noises. As I said, I'm just kind of checking out some options here. So what I think I'm going to do, I think we're going to note that the hostages are locked in a, we'll just say metal cage. We don't need to get too specific on it. Okay, we're going to say it's size scale 2, durability scale 4. And we're going to give it a oh, hey, look at that. I have fat fingered myself into a real problem. All right, there we go. it's done. Sorry about that. So decided scale 2, durability scale 4 with a mechanical lock, which can be picked. A successful. I would say that's probably going to be a larceny roll, right? Sound fair? I think so. I think that's probably what we're going to go with. A happy little larceny roll. I'll give it a difficulty 2. It's a decent lock. It's not too bad. We've also real simply broken out the size and durability scale of the cage. So if somebody wants to break the cage through brute force, we have stats that will support that approach as well. We want to make sure that everybody feels they have an opportunity to kind of show off their skills and abilities, and this provides the more physically inclined characters a way to be useful in that scene. Excuse me. We'll note too, if the party managed to make their way to the cage without being noticed, picking the lock also has a complication of 2, which reveals the party's presence if unresolved. So I think that opens up a nice avenue of adventure that we can sort of scroll up and incorporate in, which is the idea of them actually sneaking into the building, right? So let's say let's throw in a sidebar. And we're going to make this sidebar all about sneaking in, right? So I pasted that too early. We'll call this the stealthy approach. Come on, behave yourself. Sometimes working in design is not easier. And what we're going to do with the stealthy approach here is we are going to break this down as, we'll say, the scenario assumes the party either Okay, so we're going to say the scenario assumes the party either approaches the aberrant cult directly or is taken to them after being captured. However, some groups may prefer to sneak into the meeting hall to perform recon and perhaps liberate hostages without engaging the aberrants or their cult. So we need to sort of break down how hard that's going to be. And to my mind, the best way to do that is let's set difficulties rather than having like a roll off, which is kind of a common response that you might come to with this kind of a situation, but it's certainly not the only way to skin this particular cat. So instead of having a roll off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop over to our antagonists. We're going to look at the most powerful character that's present, which is going to be our nemesis, Aberrant. And we're going to look at their, what would be their perception, right? So they would have a tracking pool of 8. I'm going to go ahead and assume then that is going to be, we'll say half of those successes on an average roll, right? So we're going to go ahead and say that they have 4, a difficulty of 4 to sneak in unnoticed. And we're going to add a complication of 2 to that. So this is a challenging prospect due to the vigilance of the cult and the security in place in the meeting hall. Attempts to sneak past cultists and the triumvirate to reach a holding area are made at difficulty 4 with a complication of 2. If the complication is unresolved, party arrives at the holding area but is discovered by security after opening the gate. Or I guess we'll say upon attempting to pick the lock. In such case, violence ensues as the triumvirate abandons all pretense of a fair trial and orders all prisoners executed. All prisoners and intruders. So this is like the if you can try to sneak in, but if you fail to do so, it's going to go very badly for you and your people if you don't do it right. Is basically the idea here. So we got that in place. That's handled. Just fix this little paragraph issue. Make sure that I'm keeping everything together because I don't like my widows and orphans. All right. So we got that covered, right? Actually, let's expand this just a little bit more. And we'll say if the party can extract the miners, we'll call them prisoners because there's more than miners in there. Party can extract the prisoners without being detected. They must either vacate the area through teleportation, or how about we rephrase that? How about we say they must succeed on a larceny I'm not going to dictate the role. I'm just going to say they must make an additional check to sneak out. This way it's left up to the story guide and the players. One of the things that's good about Storypath, you want to make sure you don't write yourself out of this feature, is that the dice rolls are not necessarily dictated. If the party has some other way beyond the obvious of addressing the situation, you should let them do it. That's what Storypath is all about. It's about letting folks play to their strengths, about putting their best foot forward. So it sometimes when you write out a specific die roll combination, some groups may feel that they're pigeonholed into that, and they might forget, or they might not think about, oh well, is there another way to approach that? So by not prescribing the role, then it's left to the group to sort out what that role is. Okay, sneak out with this check is made at difficulty 4 with a complication of 3 due to the extra people being moved around. And then we'll say if the complication is unresolved, the cultists we'll say if the complication is unresolved, the party makes their way out of the meeting hall, but the cultists and aberrants become aware of their escape attempt as they reach the threshold. They reach the building's threshold. So basically, you have a difficulty of 4, you have a complication of 3. If you hit the difficulty of 4, you're guaranteed to get to the exterior door of the meeting hall. But they may very well find you. If you don't resolve the complication of 3, they'll get you basically at the door. Wow, I cannot spell today. All right, aware. There we go. Then we'll say clever uses of psionics of psi may assist in this escape attempt and teleportation may be used to circumvent this check, provided the teleporter has sufficient skill and power to move a group this size. And I just want to double check, did we ever establish the actual population of the station? Because that may affect how effective the teleportation attempt would be. Let's see. We're going to just assume... I will double check this for continuity later, but we're going to assume that there are, say, like 30 prisoners. And the other thing to keep in mind about Aeon is that sometimes, you can write out a very detailed and challenging scenario, and the right side power allows the player character to wiggle their nose and get right past your problem, which is fine. It's good. Let that happen. That is desirable. That is the point. You're supposed to be a really good hero. You're supposed to be competent. You're supposed to be impressive. So being able to circumvent challenges makes absolute sense with your power. That's what the powers are there for. And we'll change prisoners to people, so that we'll assume that the group is, the amount of prisoners is 30 minus the party. Real simple. All right. All right. So that's all done. So let's see what we've got here. I just want to make sure that we have enough information to accurately run the scene. I want to make sure we have a list of how many cultists are present in this scene. One way that we can do this to make life a little easier is maybe we can put in another sidebar. It's going to just be our scene at a glance. So the population of the meeting hall. When the party arrives is, we're going to just go in and we're going to bullet these out. Come on, behave yourself. There we go. All right. We'll say 20 cultists. We'll make sure that we're using the correct. Yeah, so we'll say 20 aberrant cultists. Including the sheriff. We'll say 1 cult leader. The mouthpiece. What did I call him specifically? The mouthpiece of the sovereign. Nope. And 25 prisoners. Okay, so now we have kind of our population figures of what's going on in the meeting hall. This way, story guide can always just sort of look at that sidebar real quick and go, okay, bang, I know this. We have this many people in this scene that we need to contend with. That means when the combat pops off, they know how many people, how big of a mob the characters are fighting. If they're trying to sneak out, they know how many obstacles they need to get by. Everything is laid out in plain, simple English right there in the sidebar. All right. So this makes us just about done with the scenario. We've just got this final scene to cover, which is going to be what to do with the final scene. How do we button up the story itself? Let me double check though, because I might want to just pepper in a little bit more kind of flavor as we cope with that scene 4. There's a lot of moving parts in scene 4, so I really want to make sure it's right, which I highly recommend you do as well. Kind of as you're going through your scenes, go back through, make sure you got all your bases covered. And what I'm looking for now at this point, the thing that just kind of clicked with me is, do we have a behavior kind of established for these aberrants and the cultists in the event that the party does attempt to break out, right? Or if they start a fight in there. So let's look and see what we've got. And just bear with me while I do a little bit of digging here. Okay, atmosphere is tense. Cult leader calls me into order. Just looking to see if I've already covered kind of what the behaviors would be. Okay, so and again, I'm just kind of double checking through. I apologize for the radio silence while I dig through what I wrote. I just want to make sure I've got all of my I's dotted and my T's crossed. Let's see. Combat ropes. In the meeting hall, the triumvirate will fight with the aid of a number of cultists equal to the number of PCs in the party. Okay. The remainder of the spectators and citizens will flee when combat begins. Excellent. So we have that behavior. The cultists remain will fight until incapacitated or killed. While each member of the triumvirate will fight until reduced to half their health, at which point they'll attempt to flee out into the settlement. Beautiful. We got it all covered. Excellent. So we will next tackle scene 5, but before we do, I'm going to go ahead and just take a quick breather, I believe. Step away for a moment, stretch my legs, get some fresh fluid to hydrate with. I recommend you all do the same. But while you're waiting for me to return, I would also recommend you head over and check out the backer kit for The World Below. That is currently funding. We are fully funded and well into stretch goals on this brand new subterranean fantasy / survival horror game using the Storypath Ultra system with world building by wonderful creators such as Matthew Dawkins and the legendary Ed Greenwood. Some powers that were built by yours truly. Lots of cool stuff in The World Below. So definitely head over there and check that out. The other thing that I would like to remind you all is that we do have a few different community content packages up for sale right now. We have the Trinity Continuum content package, which covers Aeon, Aberrant, and Core. We have the Scarred Lands package, which is also the Thracian Vault releases. The Scion Storypath Nexus package with a eye toward being spooky. The Pugmire Canis Minor package, and our They Came From Storypath Nexus package. Each of these bundles is community content like what we're doing for this show. Many of them contain items that were created by freelancers who, had a cool idea that maybe didn't fit in the main book, or just some expansive stuff, maybe a different take than the official take on things. Those are all in there, and then also members of the fan community, such as perhaps yourself, who have created their own stuff. That's all in the bundle. You can check those out. Get them for 50% off. It's a really good deal. So head over and give those a look. I'm going to go ahead and take a brief break. So if you're watching this live, hang out. I'll be back momentarily. Maybe check out those links while I'm away. If you're watching this in VOD, fast forward till you see my pretty face again. I'll be back momentarily. All right, everybody. Sorry about that. Forgot to take my lens cap off. We are back. I am refreshed, rehydrated, restocked, in good shape. We're going to tackle this fifth and theoretically, hopefully, final scene of our game. So we've got the hostages figured out. Let's also note that we also want to make sure that since there is a cage in the previous scene, we want to make sure we cover who has the keys. So we'll say in the freeing the hostages section, we'll say that each cultist who would remain to fight, as well as each member of the triumvirate, are carries a key to the holding pen. Should the party have an opportunity to what's the word I'm looking for? Search these SGCs. They can get their hands on a key and circumvent any need to pick the lock of the holding pen. Of the holding pen. All right. So that tackles that, as it were. So again, just to recap, kind of the idea is that the party can try to sneak in. They can try to pick the locks. Most likely, they're going to either wind up being brought in unconscious, or they're going to walk in of their own volition and have that social interaction. But if the party prefers to take a different tack, we've got that whole thing covered there too. It's usually a good idea to kind of make sure that that wherever possible, you're peppering in options that will cover different play styles, right? You want to make sure everybody that has built their characters for this game and has the buy-in to play is getting their needs met. They're getting what they want out of the situation. They are enjoying the play. So you want to set up scenarios in which all the different character types can shine. Starting in scene 5, we talk about post-escape action. One more thing I guess I want to include probably is actually scene 5. We'll call scene 5. We don't have names yet. I'm sorry, I'm bouncing around a little chaotically. I don't have names for scene 3 or 4 yet either, so we'll call scene 3 is going to be the descent. And scene 4 we will call parlay. And then we will call scene 5 escape. So we're going to say if, oh, no. There we go. If the party. Just adjusting to make sure that you can all kind of see what I'm doing as best as possible. If the party manages to free the hostages and either sneak past or defeat the aberrants and cultists, the story guide may allow them to return to Nemesis Station via the tunnels, via the tunnel network. Once back in the station, the party may wish to collapse some of the tunnels to slow down any potential aberrant pursuers. Once the station is secure, the party may complete any necessary repairs while the necessary repairs to their vessel while the ICE employees reestablish communication with the home office, with their home office, and request directions and backup. Not request instruction and backup. We will assume assuming all repairs are successful, the party may leave, or they may choose to stay behind to aid in any cleanup or evacuation efforts. Depending on how the previous scenes went, the group may be contending against a populous and powerful aberrant colony, or they may be facing a small but powerful band of survivors. And then we'll say any aberrant forces who carve their way through the, I guess I want to say carve their way through, who return to Nemesis Station at this point fight to the death to gain vengeance, to attain, to get revenge on the on those responsible for the destruction of their colony. And then um, so yeah, we got the party can take off or they can stick behind and fight off the forces. And we will say uh, so in this optional little bit, we're going to add because what I want to do is I want to give them the option that they can take off, right? As we mentioned before, they can get their ship fixed, take off, and it's no longer their problem. That's a perfectly valid and acceptable answer to the problems presented in this adventure. However, they also can stand and fight. So we'll say, should the party choose to stand and fight, they face any and they face all surviving aberrants and cultists. This so we'll say this will include any of the named SGCs who survived previous scenes. Survived the previous scenes. About any named antagonists. Survived the previous scenes. This also includes up to 19. This also includes a number of cultists. No, not this also includes. We'll say this will include any of the named antagonists who survived the previous scenes, supported by a number of cultists equal to 20 minus the number of cultists taken out in previous scenes. So basically, once a cultist is taken out, they're taken out for the duration of the story. any of the survivors, regardless of whether or not they were actually killed when they were taken out, can join this party in the final fight. Then we'll say, in addition to these forces, forgive me, I have something in my eye. It's my finger. All right. That's your dad joke for the day. Enjoy it. So in addition to these forces, the sovereign, how about we'll say these forces are commanded by the sovereign and a powerful turret level aberrant responsible for the colony. The colony's existence. Say the sovereign founded this colony to avoid aggression from humanity and to live peacefully with his followers. He is homicidally enraged by the destruction of that which he spent the past 6 decades building. And responds, okay. As such, he responds with unbridled violence, fighting until death. Until he is destroyed or all the ice personnel and player characters are killed or driven off of Nemesis. Okay. So we have a very, very, very simple, straightforward sort of final scene, right? This could just be wrapping up the repairs, handling the things that all the seeds were planted for earlier if they didn't get handled before the party went on their investigation. Or they could stick around and you can have like a big brawl at the end. Again, this is like, depending on your play style, you have some options. A couple of things that players might want to do. They might want to go through and trap things. They might want to, all those options are kind of left to them. They have until the repairs are done basically before the sovereign and the sovereign's forces show up. So you can fill that time with some additional cool things. We don't necessarily need to spell all that out, but we can call out that they have some time to prepare. So we'll say fortunately, the party, those who remained at Nemesis Station will have time to set up ambushes, traps, and kill boxes before the sovereign and his forces arrive. Give each player an opportunity to declare one element they'd like to add to the preparations prior to battle, and allow them an appropriate roll. This might be technology checks to rig rude landmines. We'll say larceny checks to set up ambushes. Survival checks to eliminate we'll say survival checks to eliminate I'm looking for like blind alleys or I would say to minimize how about survival checks to maximize surveillance? The other course of action the players suggest that the story guide feels is plausible. Okay, so we'll say, fortunately, those who remain at Nemesis Station will have time to set up ambushes, traps, and kill boxes before the Sovereign and his forces arrive. Give each player an opportunity to declare one element they'd like to. Oh my goodness, I've been typing in the wrong window this whole time. My apologies for the last few seconds. Anyway. So give each player an opportunity to declare one element they'd like to add to the preparations prior to battle to allow them an appropriate role. This might be technology checks to rig crude landmines, larceny checks to set up ambushes, survival checks to minimize or maximize the efficiency of surveillance, or any other course of action the players suggest the story guide feels is plausible. Allow the players and their allies to draw enhancement from these activities as you see fit. That's a good general blanket permission slip for the story guide to say, okay, you've got some time to set things up. How do you want to build your area? Yada yada yada. This is also a place where, and again, I don't think we necessarily need to call this out in the text, but if somebody's playing a talent in this game, this is going to be a place where that's going to shine, right? Because they're going to have all sorts of gifts that they can likely deploy in a situation such as facing a much superior foe or setting up ambushes. So we've got all that said and done. We are done with our adventure portion. Now, obviously, I'm going to be doing some cleanup on this, and we'll just say. Let me add in just a little denouement. And then we will be done. So let's go to heading 2. I'm sure I spelled that wrong. That's one of those words that I almost always do. So I'm going to go to my good friend Google and get the right spelling. Thanks, Google. You're fine. You're a good friend. Never be afraid to check yourself. All right. So once all matters at Nemesis station are addressed, the party may reach out to their employer or return to their previous task. So once all matters in Nemesis Station are addressed, the party may reach out to their employers or return to their previous tasks. They may also choose to open a dialogue with ICE in the hopes of reaping a reward for their actions or fostering future relations with the Metacorp. We'll say the story guide is free to negotiate with the party to determine a fair and just reward. The party members may haggle with ICE using normal intrigue rules. Any representative of ICE is so we'll have a positive, grateful attitude of one toward the party. Excellent. So now we've set up sort of a framework where we can say, okay, well, if you want like a reward, you can go talk to ICE. Here's what the basics of that are, and you can resolve that normally. So we've got all that covered. That I think that kind of covers all of our pertinent bases. So I'm going to go ahead now and drop some art down here at the bottom. I realize at the moment this is a recycling of the art already in play. I'm going to see if there's a way that I can just make this a little bit cleaner. Nope. Don't like that. Just seeing, again, just trying to play with these settings a little bit. Though I don't, now that I look at it, I don't think that's going to matter. So let's instead undo that. And let's make this just a narrower sidebar. And we'll fit frame to content. And I'm just gonna, again, just a couple little cleanup things to make things look pretty. Forgive me if the layout aspects of these are boring, but again, I just want to kind of make sure that we're having some fun, we're getting some things covered. And I'm going to make another little tweak here. So we're going to take this and move it down here so that way we have the red band up top. And then I will dig through and I will find another piece of art here. So our story is complete. I'll need to go through and do some cleanup on this before it goes out. I do need to come up with some names for some of our story guide characters and antagonists. Right now, like our Terrat, we need to note the name, the Sovereign. Then we have the Mouthpiece. Who is a Nemesis. And then our divergents are not named. Then we have a good name for our cult leader. I think our cult leader's name, I think we should have like very, very almost mundane human names. Because to me, that kind of stuff is funny. We're going to call him Benedict. And we'll say Hendrickson, Benedict Hendrickson. And then our cultists, of course, are unnamed, but we will come up with a name for the sheriff. We'll call the sheriff. Let me do a vibe check here. Let's see how the sheriff is referred to throughout. Okay. Sheriff will say a cultist named. We'll say Rachel. Rachel. Rachel Bing. Rest in peace, Chandler. And say named Rachel Bing. Benedict. I just named him. Benedict Hendrickson. All right, Rachel Bing, Benedict Henderson, and the mouthpiece of the sovereign. Beautiful. All right, so Rachel Bing. I'm gonna drop that name down here as well. Always important to paste without formatting. Remember what you're doing, Travis. Hendrickson. See now, so we've got all the names together. We've got all of our basic elements together, with the exception of a few names, and the descriptions, of course, of our antagonists. So What I'm going to do now is I think we're in a position where we're going to call this done. The things that I will be doing offline that are less fun and exhilarating to watch, perhaps, are I'm going to be doing some edits just to go through and double check that the spelling's okay, make sure that I haven't pooched any of the character names. I haven't changed a character's name in the middle of it or made any discrepancies. Normally, I don't take 9 weeks to write something, so I'm sure that there are some details that got lost in the sauce. So I'll have to go through and do a pass to just kind of clean any of that stuff up, and then expand on the SGC descriptions, and then it should be ready over at the Storypath Nexus. So I will keep you posted as to how that progresses. If you've been watching along off and on, checking in on the VODs, just tuned in for the first time today, I want to thank you for being here to support this. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take next week off and then come back the following week with a new project. Something else for the Storypath Nexus for sure. Not sure what line I'll focus on. Maybe I'll put up a poll or something. We'll see. I'll reach out on my social media and see maybe what people want to do, or maybe I'll put up a question in the Storypath Nexus channel over at the Onyx Path Discord. If you're not a member of our Discord, you should head over and check that out. There are various channels in which we discuss official releases, but also there's a community content section where we can talk about the Storypath Nexus. You can promote your own stuff. There's also sections for the Celebration Vault and Canis Minor there as well. So yeah, I'm gonna work on getting this out, possibly even by the weekend or during the weekend, and get it out there for folks to see what they think. Thank you so much for being here. If you've not yet done so, please follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. I want to remind you one last time that the World Below Backer Kit is still active with 12 days left in the fundraising. Lots of fun stuff going on there. And if you want to hop in on the discussion on the Discord of the World Below, there's a lot of cool conversation happening around it right now. So in the meantime, keep an eye out for Assault on Nemesis Station. I'm going to show you that cover one more time. This will be coming to the Storypath Nexus very soon. And I cannot thank you all enough for your attention, insight, and suggestions while I've been working on this. It's been a lot of fun. I greatly appreciate it. I will be back on the channel. I don't think I'm back on the channel for a couple weeks, but I will say tomorrow you want to make sure that you head over to either theonyxpath.com or your favorite podcatcher and get the Onyx Pathcast, because I had the lovely opportunity to sit down with Dixie Cochran and with Michaela Masala as well. We all sat down, talked about the world below. It was a super fun time. Got to get into a little bit of my experience designing on that as well as Michaela's. So definitely head over and make sure you check that out and let us know on Discord what you think. It's been an honor and a pleasure to conduct this for you. I'll see you soon. I'll be back, I think, in 2 weeks. In 12, 13 days, I'll be back on the channel for my Scarred Lands, the next episode of Scarred Lands. I'm not sure if I'm on before then or not, but keep an eye on my social media. I'm at Travis Legge pretty much everywhere. So I will be posting going live announcements and such there. Thanks again, everybody. Take care of yourselves, get your shots, and we'll see you soon.